Sorry, we were just doing roll and I didn't realize I had that muted, so just to include, so Bernard Cahill is here. And Amanda Reed is also here, are you there, Amanda?
Present.
And then Mark Jones is also here.
Can you turn that?
I don't know, Bernie, can you hear me? Okay, he hears it, yeah,
We need people to hear them.
Yeah,
well, they're muted.
Can you hear me?
guess that.
Can we ask Bernie to do
Uh,
with the mic?
Bernie, can you check the mic?
Yeah, you can't hear me right now?
We can't hear you. And this is exactly why you want to make sure I see.
Mark Jones can hear Bernie.
Audio.
How is that? No better.
Okay, I can hear Bernie now. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna try one more thing. It appears the.
Is that any better?
Well, no, it's not you. It's a us thing or a me thing. And for now, we'll just do the audio, your audio through my computer.
How was that?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
That's better?
Well, the technical difficulties.
So just to complete the roll, who do we have online?
We have Bernard Cahill,
Here.
Mark Jones,
Here,
and Amanda Reed. You're muted right now, Amanda.
Here.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So recognizing that we have four present, moving forward on the agenda is accepting previous meetings minutes. The June 4th, 2026 meeting has been made available through share drive. Also,
Yes, they were behind the agenda.
Also, just a reminder, if you are not actively speaking on your remote, just please mute your microphone so we don't get any feedback. Thank you.
So, all right, the way I'd like to handle these is through our usual process, which is take a motion and a second, then handle any corrections to the friendly amendment. So do you have a motion?
move to accept subject. Second, Schwartz.
All right, do we have any corrections to the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna call a vote by roll.
All right, Christopher Monroe,
Yes.
Doug Thornton,
Yes.
Guy Corbusato,
Yes.
Robert Schwartz.
Yes.
Alan Keyes.
Aye.
John. Russo,
Yes.
Cindy King.
Yes.
Mary Jo Hart. Yes. Mark Jones.
Yes.
Are there any commissioners not called or heard on the
Did
issue?
Amanda say this?
I didn't
Oh.
hear.
Hi, sorry, I didn't hear my name.
Sorry, yes, okay.
Hearing no other commissioners on the issue, the vote carries, the minutes are accepted. Moving forward, we have the cash schedule and the reading of the warrant. Mr. Schwartz, would you do us the honors?
June 1, to June 30, 2026. On deposit is $55,393.39. And then there is several other deposits, so total on deposit, $756,744.61. Total receipt. $794,409.39. On deposit as of July 1 is $704,489.35. And move to accept this report as read, subject to audit.
Second. All right, any questions on the warrant as presented? All right, hearing none, I'm calling a vote by roll.
Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Doug Thornton.
Aye.
Guy Corbisero,
Aye.
Robert Schwartz,
Aye.
Alan Pease,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Cindy King. Aye. Mary Jo Bohart.
Aye.
Mark Jones,
Aye.
and Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, any commissioners not called or heard on the issue? All right, hearing none, the motion carries. So moving onward on the agenda. I do not believe we have any guest announcements. We're going to continue to move forward on the agenda, which is administrative matters. So we have 5-1 here. So briefly before this meeting, we had a meeting of the executive committee. And as we've talked about in previous minutes, the executive committee, including any volunteers that would like to join, because we're open about this. We discussed the upcoming executive director transition. So we have put several questions on the table. We also have a roundtable discussion about it. And we've set at least an initial meeting cadence where the executive committee, plus anybody who'd like to serve on the transition committee, is going to meet before the actual commission meeting for at least the next couple months in order to start putting together a job description and put together a firm timeline. From there, the committee is then going to meet as necessary in order to continue the planning for the upcoming transition for executive director. So does anybody on the commission have any questions about the work of that body or the update? Yep,
We did read your cash schedule.
what's up?
There were 2 cash schedules.
Oh,
July.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that one in a moment. Does anybody on the executive or executive or search committee, I need to remember how we met. There was actually a charter that we passed out, and I need to look that comes later, director and so forth. But does anybody on it have anything else to add about our discussion of the work group?
not at this time. Still very preliminary.
Yeah, we're early. So like I said, it's still an open call if anybody would like to join, because we did in the charter, I believe, hold open 2 additional spots for commissioners that aren't on the executive committee. All right, so going back to the cash
Okay,
schedule, Mr. Schwartz, would you?
here's scheduled for July 1 through July 31, 2026. On deposit, $704,409.36. Total receipts, $795,916.83. Cash on deposit as of July 31, 2026 is $705,916.83. I move that this cash schedule for July be accepted as read, subject to all.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Here in a first and a second, do we have any discussion or questions on the
Just a point of information for the commissioners. Yeah, this is a lot of cash that's managed by the organization. And I just want to credit Tracy for really stepping up to the plate. She's done a great job over the last 6, 8 months, 9 months, September. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, 9.
It feels like either 2 weeks or 3 years.
Or a couple years.
Or maybe.
10 months.
But there's a lot of movement in and out. We have a lot of, large projects. And Bernie was promoted into the position also. And she's working really well with Brian and Bernie and Jason on the billing, on the ARs, the AP and everything. So just a lot, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, and no board member sees it on any organization. You gotta be here to see it. So I just wanted to say that Tracy's really doing a great job with the other 4 department heads, so thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else on the item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, calling a vote by roll.
Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Doug Thornton,
Aye.
Guy Corbisaro,
Aye.
Robert Schwartz,
Aye.
Alan East, Thomas Russo, Sue King,
Aye.
Bohart,
Aye.
Jones,
Mark, how do you vote?
Mark Jones, aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great. Are there any commissioners not called or heard on the? All right, the motion carries. So returning back to the agenda, we have the item here on the audit for William Street.
Very quickly, what I'd like to do very quickly is just so you all know, I will refer, if there are handouts, I'll refer to it, I'll hold it up. You're seeing it on the screen, and ask you, what we're gonna do with the old fashioned COVID. Tonight, there is no handout associated with 5.2. But I do want to, like I say, we still don't have an auditor appointment from Grassley Advisors. We'll bore you with all the bullets, but when we every month or twice a month. In the last meeting we had a week, 10 days ago, I'm sorry, I don't remember, I think it was the 24th, 25th of July. Anyway, so I asked Rossi to provide us with, what's left, what do you have to do? And the woman's first name is Valerie, the representative, who's head of the team doing the audit. And she said, well, there's no punch list. It's just, you send us a document, then we review it to see if we have any other questions. And I've dealt with a lot of auditors over many moves, and there's always a list of stuff that they ask for and so on. So, and then she said during the conversation, and this is only a 30-second chat, just so you know, I won't take too much time. She said, well, she has to finish reviewing the financial statements. And we understood that, right? And then she said, and then the partner has to review them. I said, okay. Well, at the beginning of the conversation, we didn't know that the partner had to review after your review, so that would be a punch list item. The meetings with them, I'll just be honest with you, are professional but contentious. And quite frankly, she had the audacity to say, you know what, you need to find another auditor for next time. And I didn't say it, but I said, well, this meeting's over. And thank you for that, we appreciated it. And I left, it was a Teams meeting or something. I didn't signal to Holly and Tracy to leave the meeting too. They stayed on for another 5 excruciating minutes, I guess. And, but the story is that we're doing our more than due diligence to try to get them to finish an audit. And, just so you all know, several months ago, my colleagues, teammates over here on the audit with me and I had decided that we would go up again anyway. We would go out to an auditor anyway. We took the advice to hire Grassi this time, because ANSYS was recommended to us by our former auditor. ANSYS then merged with Grassi Advisors, and it's okay. I think if Mr. ANSYS had done the audit his own, I think we would have been fine. But he went to another firm, became a partner, and it's not been fine. So it's been a challenge. I'm stealing, quite frankly, an RFP for audit from, I think it's Mass Technology Collaborative by Martha, who has to have single audit act, and it's a lot of the same rules apply. So I'm gonna take that, talk to Tracy, talk to Holly, and then just, put it in our format and get it out this month. So it can be at least published, so we can get some proposals in September. And I'd like to engage somebody at the October commissioners meeting, because I'll need your approval to say this is the person. So that's the plan. Even if we don't get an approval for the November meeting, we're still okay, but we would like to get going as soon as possible. So when I come back Monday, it's my highest priority to get the darn RFP done, and let's move on. That's it. That's all I really can say about it in public right now.
So is there support that we can provide you? So I And there are also, it looks like the other commissioners who qualify for this, but I'd be happy to join one of those calls. If you think it would be helpful to bring your chair or your friend.
Thank you. We will pull you in if needed. I think we're getting to the end, I really do. But every time I think we're getting to the end, unless,
Yeah.
the original team of three or four are gone. And then other people came in and they never told us that those people left. We learned from other RPAs that the key partner left. And I will share this, that through the grapevine, I did learn from other RPAs, that 4 RPAs engaged Grassy. It hasn't gone well with any one of us, so it's not just us, and not defending anybody here, I'm just saying, we've done our due diligence, but they fell down on 4 RPAs. It is what it is, thank you, and at the next time, if it's like, we're gonna have another meeting with them probably in a week to 10 days to say, what's up? And I think at that time, we'll figure out if we need to bring the big guns, so thank you very much, Christopher. Yes, ma'am.
Is there any concern that they won't be able to finish?
No, I don't have a concern that they won't be able to finish. I just have a concern that, it shouldn't have taken this long. And we've admitted before, it's like, they started asking stuff in the middle of a transition with the fiscal director, and we're trying to figure out what they need. That went away pretty quickly, Tracy stepped up to the plate, as I said before, and with this, and then, well, that person's gone, and, well, what do you mean that person's gone? Why didn't you tell us? 2 months went by. So they'll finish. And I should say this for the record, we have had an internal discussion. And I believe we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, at least in my head, I have an internal discussion. Let me put it that way.
That is very internal.
Yeah, it was very internal, right here. And at this point in time, so we've made, it's a $30,000 job. Two $10,000 checks have been dispersed. That's about the market rate these days, so it's not terrible. And the third 10 goes when they actually provide us with the audit. So they do a presentation, I believe, I have to recheck the contract, and then we cut them the check out on presentation day. Or they might, or maybe it's a week before we cut them a check to come to the meeting, but it's about that window anyway. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what that sentence says. At this point in time, it's so far into it. It's like, don't fire them. I wouldn't recommend they try to get another, because it would take another 6 to 9 months to get this done. And I don't think that would be the best use of our funding and our human resources, so. That may have been a question I'm trying to answer, and I hope it helps. Thank you.
Yeah, because, and I don't really monopolize the time on this, but the part that's concerning about me is the failure to produce the audit list, because the way audits work is there's working papers somewhere.
Yeah.
And those working papers contain the actual audit plan. And if somebody can't put their hand on the working papers in the audit plan, what the hell are they testing against?
Exactly.
So that's deeply concerning. And if that's a question they can't answer, there's governing organizations over CPAs for doing these kinds of things. There's actual AICPA standards. So if they can't come up with an audit plan, I have to believe that invokes some kind of AICPA standard.
Yeah. I don't think this is going by any single.
So yeah, the offer is definitely out there. And
Yeah, thanks.
also just so that is engaging lawyers and auditors, obviously a direct power of the commission. So I just wanted to take a strong call of the commission that you're fine with me hopping on that phone call as a representative. Commission, I don't need a formal motion, just to pass it up for discussion.
Please do.
Thanks for the.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
No objections.
Can.
All right, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I was wondering if we could, take 5.7 out of,
Rotation.
out of line. So, because I have to leave shortly, 5.7 is Wachusett Mountain Advisory Committee.
Absolutely, let's go for it.
Okay, very good.
So calling the item out of order, 5.7, Wachusett Mountain Advisory Committee. I believe Guy and Glenn, the floor is yours.
So Guy, go ahead.
Okay, I'll take
Mine's
that.
written, you should do it.
Probably 5 years ago, we found out that the MRPC has a seat on the Wachusett Mountain Advisory Committee. At that point, Glenn was nominated as our representative, and I was the sub. Since that time, I've been attending the meetings, but I can no longer attend it. And so I think Glenn, will probably wanna pass it off also. So I thought maybe somebody here would like to be the representative for the MRPC on the Wachusett Mountain Advisory Committee. The advisory committee meets 4 times a year. They just met July, the last Wednesday of July. So they meet 4 times a year on the last Wednesday at 6 P.M. at the Wachusett Mountain Guest Center, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, guest visitor center, field.
Yes, whatever it is, I'm not familiar with it, and I'm not that familiar with the mountain. But it would be a great position for somebody that skis or has an interest in hiking or an interest in the mountain, because the ski area is part of it, and they give a report every meeting on what they're doing, the ski lifts they're building, the trails they're clearing. So it'd be great for somebody that skis or hikes.
I would like to follow up on that because I didn't think of that until you just said this, guy. So we had a primary representative being a staff person and an alternate representative.
Yes,
Now, I think we should have a commissioner be the primary and you have a staff as an alternate. And it just occurred to me, as you said, somebody who's interested in hiking. Avid enthusiast mountain biker dude on staff. He's the principal planner, or regional planner here, and he's a dynamo young employee in the SAC. And he knows, I'm just throwing it out there, but if you want a commissioner as primary. And maybe use Zach to back up, we'd obviously have to talk to Zach and Bernie. But I think, 8 hours a year is not really probably gonna be a problem for his schedule, so.
As far as commissioners, and maybe it's not fair for me to throw this out because they're not here, but would it be too obvious to have someone from Princeton? To have a commissioner who represents Princeton.
We don't
David-
include Chris.
To,
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, okay.
No, that's okay, I should have put the map back up.
No, no.
Yeah.
He does live in Princeton.
He does live in Princeton.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I think where you were
So
going.
we just kind of cover it. two
Zach can
ways.
be agreeable.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there for
Yeah.
why, that's all.
yeah, it's a position that's appointed by the MRPC, so it can be anybody from here.
it's really only 8 meetings of rapid or
4 meetings.
4 meetings in a total of 8 hours. I live 10 minutes from the mountain. Ski there, and don't bike because you're not allowed to bike on the mountain.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think Zach bikes around it then. Yeah, I didn't know that. Leominster Forest is where that's his back. From Princeton.
Yeah, I would throw my hat in consideration for the commission seat.
If you want to be primary, Zach could be a backup. I think he'd jump at the chance. He probably mountain bike jump.
Because you have nothing else anymore.
Right.
Well, 8 hours a year for something outdoorsy,
Yeah.
that I have time for.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And sometimes they do it by Zoom. But
Yes.
they've changed back to meeting in person.
Yes, and I should state for the record that I always had a problem with one of those meetings. I did go to one, like, probably 6 or 5 years ago. But it always lands on, I'm on a couple of other boards and it's like, there's always a conflict with another one, so and it's a nice group of people. It's a good meeting.
Yeah,
I wish I could have gone more. So if your pleasure is to appoint A and B, however you wanna make the vote, I mean, we're a great job.
If anybody else is super passionate about it, I'm starting again, but somebody would have
They
to
can
get
vote,
motion.
amending our request or.
if we don't see any faces, I nominate Chris Monroe to be our representative on the Wachusett Mountain Advisory Committee.
Second.
Okay.
All right, any discussion? I guess for discussion on that, do we need to put Zach on the motion for that?
Paul was just, yes, Paul was asking A, when we talked to Zach, but I mean, I would throw Zach into the motion as your alternate. And then we just talk to him, I can just
Yeah.
teams him tomorrow and say, and Bernie first.
It's gonna
Oh,
be,
Bernie's in the room, hey Bernie, what's your thought?
Throw him right under the bus, Barry.
Yeah.
You mean whether Zach should be the person?
Is it okay with you as a supervisor, if Zach would be a person, and if Zach wishes, you are the supervisor, so I should be going through you to get your opinion, so would you like to opine on the matter?
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily appoint him without speaking to him first. Just as a matter of courtesy, I mean, I could tell him he's doing it, but I would prefer to speak to him tomorrow. if possible, and see what his thoughts are on it.
I have to say, next meeting is the end of October, so there's a big window there to,
So we can do this at the October planning commissioners meeting, or is that?
whatever, you know.
Or could we do what you said and do it as, we recommend pending his
Pending his acceptance?
acceptance? Can we do
If
that?
you want to amend it,
Sounds good.
that's a great amendment.
Is that accepted as a friendly amendment by the leader and the?
Yes, it is.
So the motion is amended through friendly amendment. Any additional discussion? All right, calling the vote by roll.
Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Doug Thorne,
Aye.
Guy Corbett,
Aye.
Robert Schwartz,
Aye.
Alan Keys,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Cindy King,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohan, Mark Jones,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
and we have Marshall Dennis who's joined us.
Can you hear us, Marshall?
Maybe he hasn't fully joined us.
Can you hear us?
He's there and he's not muted, so I don't know. Maybe he walked away.
Okay. So we won't count that vote because he hasn't voted.
Yeah, all right, so, any commissioners not called or heard on the issue? All right, the motion carries.
Chairman Monroe, I hate to say it, but I have to leave. Thank you, is there anything else you need me for?
We just good company.
Then I said, yeah.
Yeah. Just squeeze the wall. Thank you.
So
We really wanna take my time next year.
Just got paid much.
wait, that's it.
soon go out.
Yes, that's
Maybe
true.
it's the-
Yeah, good one.
Returning to the regular order, we're on 5.3, which is the budget update. Mr. Eden.
So there's some narrative here that I won't bore you with, but the bottom line is if you turn over to page 5, there's a table there. Thanks, Bernie, I misentered the name of a potential grant. It says upstream down. That table should be Regional Resiliency Program. And if I screwed up that explanation, Bernie can chime in, but the bottom line is that when you adopted the budget that we presented in June 6th, I think it was the day. We were projecting a $299,000 deficit for FY 27, which would have been about 11.2% deficit. Under 20% deficit for projection in June for your upcoming fiscal year is not usually a problem. It has not been a problem in 27 years. But it was still 11.2%, and the numbers are getting bigger. You know, we're like $3 million budgets these days versus $1.5 million in the old days. So table A basically says one thing, and it says, Glenn made a math error in the budget presentation in June. So there was a I did include like $78,000. And then some other revenue source came in. It's on my table, but it's not my brain. Table 2 is really where it gets exciting. So you basically say, hey, also in table A, we did just sign a contract, which really offsets the bulk of the 299,000 plus my math error. So we're throwing a $58,000, 653, 2.5% surplus as of signing a $227,000 per year contract for just under 450, whatever 227 times 2 is. So that's a very good thing. So all of a sudden now we're in a surplus instead of, 11.2% negative, we're 2.5% good. Okay, then you go to table B, and if you take the same math, expenses and revenues from above after signing your contract, the bottom line here, folks, is that there's another grant pending for 248 through 30. That's called Regional Resiliency Program. Thanks again, Bernie. If that one is awarded, then we would throw a surplus this year of $307,000 or 11.5%. Now, what it means, the bottom line is that if you have too much money, it means you're out of balance, you need more staff. If you have too much deficit, then you have to lose staff. So we're in a position where, if you look at the narrative on the bottom of page 5, Mr. Joseph Boyle, planner from Comprehensive Planning, left the agency on June 23rd. just before the fiscal year, started, we've advertised for a successor, and then the rest talks about some grants, both from EPA, one that's been awarded and one that is pending. This tells me that it's about $140 or 150,000 per human being on the payroll in rail round numbers. So when you look at the 300,000, you think, well, do you really need 2 more planners? And we may, but there's another paragraph in here that says, hey, let's hold the horses on that. The second to the last paragraph starts with all employees hired are approved by the commissioners. We're hoping also to hire someone back in the admin and fiscal law office. So this is admin and fiscal here. There's 15 of us here on the payroll. We're admin and fiscal. And for the last 5 years, give or take, we've had 4 people. But since Chris McNamara left last year and Tracy was promoted, what happened in comprehensive planning went down from 6 people to 5. We've gained a great person in fiscal with Tracy, but we don't have a fiscal assistant anymore. Actually, it was when McLivin retired, Chris moved up and we didn't replace the fiscal assistant then, which goes back about 2 years. So we left that position kind of vacant. So we have, or about to advertise, I can't remember if we just did it yesterday, we're about to do it, the fiscal assistant administrative.
It'll probably be done on Monday.
On Monday, we did the job description and the job ad a day or 2 ago, the 3 of us, yes. So the 300,000, basically, we know we need to replace Joe Doyle as the successor. We are most likely going to have to hire another comprehensive planner. I think you're okay in transportation. Are you good with your 4 people plus you? Okay, you're rock stars in the transportation plans and services office, that's great. So this is probably the comprehensive planning office, 1 or 2 planners, and then we need somebody to help our fiscal director who's saying, okay, I can do this, but oh, I need some help too. Just like we used to do as the model, we had a fiscal director and a fiscal assistant. So that's kind of just a quick summary of what's going on with revenue. And it's an update. This is not a budget amendment. We'll do that no later than February when we present a budget for the upcoming fiscal year, 28. And we'll start to do amendments between February and June for this fiscal year, 27. That's just the quick, as quick as possible. So things are getting better. I could have just said that, moving on. So that's it. Thank you.
Any questions on the item from the commission? All right, hearing none, let's move forward. So one clarification on item 5.4 here. I just wanted to clarify as it's placed on the agenda that my suggestion was that this should come in front of the commission for a possible recommendation, not that I should be a possible recommendation. Just want to clarify that in the discussion for it. Very different things. So from there, I'd like to pass the item over to Landon and then if Alan has anything to add.
Yeah, so very quickly from where I sit, I'm at the nexus between staff and the commissioners. And I heard in my 2 years, 2 people that have interest. Alan emailed me 3 or 4 weeks ago and said, hey, we have a part-time town planner, Elizabeth Wood, she could make a great candidate to recommend for the Rural Policy Advisory Committee. The stuff in italics is from the RPAC website, that's what it's all about. There's more there, if you want to click on that link later, you have these electronically. But from my point of view, I had a conversation with Christopher recently and says, hey, that's something I might like to do. So it's up to you who gets appointed to the Regional Policy Advisory Committee, and I'm out. So you want to talk, Alan, about?
Yeah, first of all, let me-
Christopher, go ahead.
Just to clarify on that point, I am not looking to be recommended for this. Not looking.
No, you're not looking.
That,
Okay.
the way it was written on the agenda is that I was looking to be recommended. I am not.
Okay, so scratch that part, wherever it says he's recommended, maybe I recommended now.
I think so.
I think I did, so but that's not Christopher's words. Thank you for the clarification. Alan, please.
Okay, so just to clarify, this board does not make the decision of who represents MRPC on the committee. It apparently falls to the governor's council, they get to decide who's appointed to these committees. So the Ashby Planning Board, a month ago or so. We actually got a grant from the Rural Development Commission. We were talking to Ann Goby. She said there's an empty slot in your area. And Elizabeth said I'd be interested. So the planning board said, okay, here's a letter of recommendation. So what we're coming here today is if the commission wishes, they could make a recommendation as well. who they would like to see on the board. That doesn't mean either of our recommendations will be followed, it's gonna be up to the governor, essentially. Certain the appointees. So that's where we're at with this little piece. of This article, whatever we call it. It does. The regional planning commission wish to make a recommendation for who's on the rural policy, what is it? Informational commission or whatever. That name.
And we did this a few years ago when, we were asked by the Rural Policy Advisory Commission to recommend somebody. And Sean Zahosky, the town manager from the town of Athol, put his name in with us, commissioners voted to recommend him, and he was chosen by
Yeah,
Governor's Council to serve on the RPAC. And just so you know, you have a handout, you have Sean's, letter here. And the gist of it says, you know, hey, thanks, so I'm pleased to serve, I am stepping down. And, thank you, it's been an honor to serve, kind of a letter. I just want to make sure you saw that from Sean. I'm gonna be blunt that the politics in this are, I hope the commissioners do recommend somebody. And to what Alan said, it's not up to us, it's up to another entity. But there are there are politics in between RPs and POGs that I am not comfortable with talking about in the public meeting. And if we don't recommend somebody, then another RPA or two or three probably will. And if you look at the RPAC website, our position has been listed as vacant, even though Mr. Zahosky hasn't yet resigned, because bluntly of a political issue where his name was removed. And I just think that's dirty pool. I'm not gonna name entity names, but there are entities out there that would like to speak for this region, and I think that is horrible. It's not fair to the communities, the local officials, the residents, and the admins to this region. So I'm hoping that you say, okay, it's Elizabeth, Christopher, or Laura, Larry, Curly, that's up to you, but I think we need to I think you need to make a recommendation. Don't let another RPA make a recommendation for you, which has been a fight for 27 years. And that's something that'll be in the new ED's job description. Deal with that. Right. I'm done talking. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, additional questions, suggestions, and recommendations? Otherwise, somebody can make a motion.
I laughed at it all little part. No. So I would move that we recommend Christopher Monroe. What is it, the Rural Policy Advisory Committee?
Is it not regional, not rural? Is it regional?
No, it's rural,
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
it's rural.
I typed regional by mistake.
was gonna say, I think
We're at the regional planning agency and I just
Yeah,
stuck it in my
yeah,
brain.
yeah, okay.
And when I retire, I hope I forget the word. So rural, thank you very much. My apologies.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second Schwartz.
All right, and then for discussion on this, I'm gonna take the first one. How often does it, do we know? Is it like a 4 times a year kind of thing?
That was my understanding.
Like
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
I mean, if it's a 4 times a year thing, I can accept it, but if it's like a once or twice a month thing, I cannot.
She's looking it up. And I'm gonna make a quick phone call to Sean and see if he can just answer the question. So between the two of us, we should get an answer right away.
All right, while we're waiting for that, any additional discussion on the item? All right, so wait for clarification on that question.
He's probably in a meeting. So we all doing the meetings for meetings, probably in a meeting.
Well, on their website.
Oh, Mr. Reed, hey, I'm in the middle of a planning commission meeting, and we have a question. How often does the Rural Policy Advisory Committee meet? Does it meet monthly or quarterly?
Looks like it's every other month.
Every other month, moving toward quarterly. Okay, all right, thank you very much, I'm sorry to bother you, thanks for picking up. All right, take care, thanks, Sean, bye-bye. Is it modern technology?
I don't know where.
Every other month has been the practice moving toward, until you've heard from
So
them.
are we recommending Christopher Monroe or Elizabeth or
The
both?
motion is to recommend Christopher, I think,
Okay. Okay.
with the motion and I think.
And we have a second.
And you have a second, so it's on
And-
the floor.
Yeah, and this is the floor discussion. So any additional discussion on the item? All right, calling a vote. By roll.
I'm sorry. Christopher Monroe. It's late.
Aye.
She's been cooking since 3 AM.
Jeff Thorne,
Aye.
Guy Corbicero. Oh, he's not here. See, woo.
We'll help you out.
Thank you. Robert Schwartz.
Aye.
Emily Pease.
Aye.
Thomas Russo.
Aye.
Cindy King.
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohan. And Mark Jones.
Aye.
Amanda Reed.
Aye.
And I believe Marshall Dennis is no longer.
He jumped off.
Oh, okay. All
All
set.
right, any commissioners not called or heard on the issue? All right, hearing none, the motion carries, so, Glenn, thank you for the vote of confidence that I'm intention to tackle on that. Yeah, and thank you to the commission for the faith that you placed in me, continue to do so. So moving forward on the agenda, we have 5.5, which is information session on the attainable housing.
This is 2 minutes, just so you know, it's hot. And we'll get people out of here, but there are 3 handouts. There's one that says cottage home program, and a nice colored map on it. And then there's one with tiny homes with a lot of tieback and green plywood on the side. And then there's one called tiny home micro communities helping to shelter Denver's unhoused population. These are 3 random, articles I took off the planning.org, American Planning Agents Association's website today or yesterday, to see the conversation. Not now, take it home, read a good, shore up on a couple of issues. Tiny homes is definitely something that I see as being a way to help people afford attainable housing. I like that term a lot. And not that we have to put everybody that doesn't have a house in a 400 home or 600 square feet, but in Massachusetts and a lot across the country. And I checked several websites for tiny homes available. Like through, realtor.com. In this region, there's like 3. I think if we had some other products like this, we might be able to help with people buy their own homes finally. Totally, I have a friend in Orange and who has split off a lot to meet the zoning in Orange, and his son's building a tiny home of 600 square feet to be off grid. That's a little extreme, but we're talking about things that are on grid. But there are a couple of issues that I really would like to see in my last year, us move some forward on. It's honestly bluntly, Bernie, sorry. It's mostly you and me talking a lot about this, tiny homes thing. Templeton has asked us to create a model tiny homes bylaw. Gardner has adopted the ordinance. That is a handout that is available to you tonight. It is in your, packet. It is a handout. It has some yellow highlight on it somewhere, but it is there. If you don't have one, make sure you have one. It is uploaded into the handouts folder for tonight online also. So I applaud Gardner for taking the lead on the role, on the issue. And I'm thrilled that my hometown of Templeton, which may or may not have some issues every once in a while, the planning board is like, we gotta do something. We have to fill in these lots in our village centers that are on water, on sewer. They can be 600 square foot homes. They don't need to be, 1,200 or 3,000 square foot McMansions. We have to do something for our people because our kids can't live here anymore. Now, I've been hearing the kids can't live here anymore since the 80s. It's not a new issue, but this is a new opportunity. I will close by saying the other thing I didn't write down on the agenda, so I can't talk about it too much, but is, and I don't see this as being a huge issue personally, but even if they're small data centers, I want to work with Bernie for the next year to make sure that we at least are talking about the issue, maybe coming up with a bylaw and permitting procedures. Christopher, I know you have a wealth of knowledge in this area, so we're gonna be reaching out for assistance from people and help our communities. probably under the district local technical assistance program, because that pays us to do these things. So we want to make sure that we're being, the agency here needs to be proactive in trying to help on cutting edge topics. With district local technical assistance, we're always reactive. It's constant reactive planning in municipal level, not crapping on municipalities, but in regional planning too. It's, here's the district local technical assistance fund. We're from the government, we can help with. And we get constantly 99% of our requests are zoning bylaw amendments. So, but tiny homes and data centers don't come in. But they're out there in the news. Now, we don't have a site to land a 1,000 acre data center in our area. But what if it was, I don't know, what if something happened for 10 acres? And it was gonna suck water out of the aquifer. So I think we need to address these issues, and I just wanna make sure we give these topics a lot of chatter before I go. And, you know, work with Bernie and the comprehensive planning staff, and if we get 2 more planners, then maybe we can be a lot more proactive and go out there to the bricks and say, okay, maybe somebody's gonna look at Ashby and realize that you've got the biggest aquifer in the area. I don't know what you're doing right. But then they can cut down 500 acres of trees and say, that's a great data center place. And, you know, Unicil's got a great line. I mean, I'm just making up because, you know, Alan's sitting there and I haven't seen him in so long. So I thought I'd pick on Ashby. But the reality is that we gotta get ahead of some of these things. That's why that's on the agenda. You know, and tiny homes are near and dear to my heart. Last thing I will say is I also sit on a board of a credit union, and at the credit union board and management, you know, there's a policy that tiny homes are looked at like mobile homes. And we'll do it on a case by case basis. And I'm like, we can finance so many of these at the credit union. Why aren't we doing this? So there's a lack of permitting on the local level, and there's this lack of interest from the financial community. And I think, you know, I'm trying to tie it together. So anyway, that's the story on tiny homes. That's it. And I can move on.
Any questions on the item?
Yeah, just wondering, so something will be developed this year, tiny homes, data centers.
Yeah. My commitment to you is to do it by June of next year when I retire, but I'd like to do it in 90 days. Because it doesn't take, I remember writing zoning bylaws 20 years ago, all right? You have some meetings with some people in a town, you have some parameters, you use the interweb, and you collect a lot of models, and you come up and you have, you know, a lot of interactive discussion on the local level. It's 90 days is too short, but you know, in 180 days, we should start creating some of these. You know, we have to. We have. And if my planning board in Templeton's doing this, wow, that really is very telling. I can't say any more about the Templeton Planning Board, but they have come forward like leaps and bounds on this matter, and I applaud them. This is wonderful news. Wonderful. And if they're doing it, they're just throwing down the mic. It's me, God for them. Good job.
Yeah, there are folks I know of that are interested in both topics.
Great. I think we're all interested. You know, thank goodness we're not in Texas right now and see 1,000 acre, you know, data center. Anyway. Oh, and I really do want to say this, you know, tiny homes are not all about just getting the neighbor's shed from the guy who mentioned it and putting up a shed. No, they're homes, they're houses. They're stick built, they're modular. I would like to see them not just on slabs, but at least have a crawl space. It's New England, you need a buffer for this. They're 3D printing tiny homes in Texas and Russia. Why aren't we looking forward? Storage containers that outlive their useful lives are being used. Or brand new storage containers are being used. There's so much going on in this area. And I don't think, I mean, I'm not addressing it and I need to. So I just kind of gave myself permission to work on a project is what I'm saying. And I hope you enjoy the ride and come along for the ride. Thank you, that's all I have. Thank you.
So moving forward into 5.6, which is the federal policy update.
Take this home and read it, enjoy. We received from Tremont Strategies Group an email about once a month. I excerpted, and what's in italics is what I excerpted from Tremont Strategies Group. They are it's an entity that's working on our retirement legislation with Massachusetts Association of Regional Planning Agencies, or MARPA. And they spit this out for free, and I thought you should see some of these things on FY27 appropriations. There's stuff in here about surface transportation reauthorization on the lower 2/3 of page 8 for Brian and his peeps. So there's something in here for a lot of people. Of course, I thought it was very respectful. They opened with, you know, chambers, recess, God rest his soul, Senator Lindsey Graham is laid to rest, so on and so forth. So they hit a lot of areas, and I thought you should see these things from a consulting firm when there was one word I changed in here when they said, when the Democrats take the House, and I changed that to if. This is not a political statement out here, it's meeting, it's more about trying to bring you facts. It's good reading, enjoy it, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. We've already taken on item 5.7, so we're moving forward into 5.8.
It says. Okay. Just Tracy's big. Now, can you provide some color commentary when I give the quick overview? Because you worked on this, I just gonna give, okay. So Tracy, let me do this and then dive in like 2 minutes. So the comprehensive economic development strategy, there are 3 handouts. There's an executive summary of a document that's about 200 or 300 pages, roughly, give or take, a couple hundred. There's a strategic brief for local officials. Right, and then there's a resolution supporting adoption of the Montezuma Region 7. So those are the 3 documents in front of you. My request to the commissioners is that we need a resolution, a vote from you to adopt the set. And so that we can send it down with the minutes of this meeting to Federal Economic Development Administration, because that's who we do this work under that particular contract. The set, so that you are all familiar, is a planning document that's updated every 5 years by the Montezuma Regional Planning Commission / Montezuma Economic Development District. We are an economic development district designated by EDA in 2003. What's that really mean? Well, the SEDS contains a lot of local economic development projects. And it has a lot of data and demographics and analysis. This is our economic condition. And these are projects in Pittsburgh and Athol and Harvard and Gardner. And what it is the SEDS ends up being a movie ticket, all right? If you have a project in the SEDS, then you can talk to EDA about getting a grant for what I call pipe in the ground. It's industrial park, brick and mortar, basically, that's what it is. To create jobs and to build industrial parks, like Gardner has a few, Pittsburgh is on it too. So you know the EDA program pretty well, Gardner, yes. So Tracy, when she was hired in 24 or 23, 23, one of her first tasks, if not your first, and I'm gonna turn it over to you in a minute, was, hey, under Karen, hey, let's get the sets in shape. She did a great job. And then submitted the sets down to EDA in 24, being very, very high level. Go ahead in just a minute. And then, well, then what happened after 24 is there was this thing called the election, and then he was sworn in January 25. Well, lo and behold, after that 6 months of transition last year, then EDA started saying, hey, or 9 months or whatever, hey, where's your sets? We submitted to you 18 months ago. What do you mean, where's our sets? So that led on a path of communication between us and our EDA representative, Deborah Bevan, and all the conversations about, okay, MRPC and all the RPAs in Massachusetts, there are these new executive orders, and you have to sanitize your sets. We recommend you sanitize your website. The latest request was that we are requested, and I'll get into what we did as calmly as I can. We were requested to remove the word race, and you have a table of race and poverty, and those words that are in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, but they're not in the White House right now. And we were also requested to remove the word electric in front of electric car, because I guess those don't exist. So we did remove those words. Here's the reality, here's the bottom line. If we don't make edits that the Economic Development Administration wants to get our sets approved, then Mary Jo can't come to me in a year and say, we need brick and mortar money to put in a pipe on Main Street to do something, or fiber optics. I loathe what is going on. The Deborah Bevan, the EDR, the representative, sent us this email. It's not her. She cited a certain executive order, which was the DOGE executive order, that this thing will be created in Dolan cuts. I've read that executive order 10 times. I see nothing in that executive order that says, that connects the dots to removing certain words in our economic development strategy. We can say no and stop doing this, but then I'm hurting, and I mean me, because I was hard to do these things in '99. Then I feel like I'm hurting 22 communities. I'm also inside very, very upset. This is not how government should be run. If, they suggested that we use ethnicity instead of race. Well, those aren't even synonyms. Those aren't, Tamara's and Venus. It's just not this. Anyway, so we did make the updates. The SEDS is ready to rock and roll. If you're comfortable with reading the executive summary and adopting that important resolution which says, please adopt the SEDS as is. And if you're not, that's okay. We'll do this in September, okay? I'm not pushing for something. The staff, and now Tracy needs you to talk, we've been dealing with this now for 2 to 3 months. So now it's your turn.
Well, I won't talk too long, but
Go ahead.
this is the third wave of corrections. The first wave I struggled with, and I tried to come up with different terms, environmental justice, neighborhoods had to be taken out. So I called them civil rights areas. And I tried to use a bunch of different terminology. And our rep from EDA called and got me on a phone call with her and Karen. I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
I think you did.
And she looked at me and she said, "Don't be cute."
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
Really? Don't.
And I was like, she goes, "Don't mess around." She said, "They are scouring everybody's websites. They are scouring everybody's sets, and you're not gonna get money." So I went back, sat down. I think I had a conversation with Brian about, can we have some standardized language then? So that we're all using the same terminology. And, so, I talked to Grace, because Grace had to do her projects. And, I submitted it. And we hadn't heard.
We hadn't heard for about 18 months.
18 months later.
And in EDA reps, Deborah Reps defense, when we submitted it, and then the election happened, and then he was sworn in, and then a million executive orders were signed, and EDA was just like going around in circles. By the time they finally got probably to our sense, they probably had dealt with 50 or 100 already, and it was just taking a month. And maybe because, we start with N and want to choose it, and we're, out of the 26, letters in the alphabet, we're 19th or whatever, so maybe it took a while, maybe, I don't know. It's very upsetting. But as, and then the kicker is, it was at that meeting, they said, "Oh, you might want to think about sanitizing your website too."
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the website,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I might rate, but I'm looking forward to the next 2.5 years being over and we can get back to normal.
Question,
Yes, ma'am.
since the SEDS gets updated every 5 years.
Yes.
Remind me, do we sometimes do mini updates
We used
in
to,
between? So in 2.5 years,
yeah,
so, would certain, themes and words and things, be revived?
okay, so we used to be able to update it whenever we wanted to. And this is not a Trump administrative thing. Deb Devin issued us an email or something a couple of years ago and said, "Oh, you can't update the sets in any more than every 5 years." That was never a problem before. Again, nothing to do with the current administration. That was never a problem updating in between the 5 years. I really won't know unless I need to reread the regulations to see what it really says. And if we're allowed to update, then I'm gonna pull a regulation conference, chat with Deb and says, "There's no prohibition here." But then she might pull an executive order problem that's above her head and outside of her purview. The short answer is we used to be able to, supposedly we can't now. The silver lining in this is that as soon as you submit a set and it was done in 24, it's 5 years, 24 to 29. And let's say they approve it this Thanksgiving, late in 26. Well, then you really only have, 3 years later, 2.5 years later, before you do another 5-year update. Because they won't do an update based on their update approval date of Thanksgiving 26,
Based on
they'll
what
do
we
it
did.
20, when it was submitted originally. Which has never made sense either. And we've updated all the demographics, which include 25 to 26, beyond 24, so there's just so much for this, I apologize, it's really a issue, I'm sorry.
I understand, so the train station, the MPO, we're responsible for more or less 4 major federal required documents, so we kind of run through this, and Tracy mentioned, she talked to me about it. So we had to change some language as well, but none of the substance really changed, so, some of the language changed a little bit, we've been using for years. But the substance of the actual plan didn't necessarily change, so,
Good one.
you know. Certainly administrative headache a little bit, but, you know, at least we didn't have to change our processes. But I think that is definitely the same for the Senate, so.
That's a really good point. So, you know, none of the projects that were submitted by our committees and the SEDS anywhere were changed. I assume the same thing for the general process. That doesn't change. It's just the irritating fact that, you know, God forbid you try to use the word woke. Well, I woke up this morning, I used the word woke at all. Out of words.
Great, any additional questions from the commission?
Just a comment,
Yes.
you think it might be the unelected bureaucrats to appease the White House
Such a, who, give me an example of who?
with all of these changes that your state suggested?
Yeah,
Don't you think it's the non-elected bureaucrats making those decisions?
I've dealt with these bureaucrats for 40 years and they would not ever make these changes. These people are good civil servants.
Oh,
This is from the top down. This is very clear. The executive order in question, like I said, was the Department of Government and Efficiency executive order. I forget the 5 numbers. But it's like, what the hell does that have to do with the fact that we have several, this is a racist administration saying, we're not gonna deal with people who aren't white. Let me just call it what it is. This is what's going on. This is exactly what's happening. And it's not just here in this job, but it's in some of my volunteer roles too. It's just, it's freaking everywhere. It's,
I think we're particularly vulnerable because we're Massachusetts,
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
so we're under a bigger microscope.
If this was a Texas, Austin, Texas says, I don't think we'd be having these things.
Austin's pretty little.
Yeah,
It's Dallas, I meant Dallas. I meant Dallas. I meant the oil rich area of Dallas.
Okay.
We would not be having this conversation.
All right, so if there's no additional questions, would somebody like to move the resolution supporting adoption of the Montechusett Region Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy 2024-2029 as presented in the aforementioned document?
Second,
All right, here in a first and a second, any additional discussion? Thank you for not having additional discussion. Calling a vote by roll.
Sorry. Christopher Monroe,
Aye.
Doug Corey,
Aye.
Robert Schwartz,
Aye.
Alan Keys,
Aye.
Thomas Russo,
Aye.
Cindy King,
Aye.
Mary Jo Bohart, Mark Jones,
Aye.
Amanda Reed,
Aye.
I've never said this in the 27 years I've been here. I'm just looking for one token no vote.
Oh,
But thank you for being supportive.
any commissioners not called or heard on the issue?
Change my mind.
No, I gotta.
like to be like 60/40, you want?
No, I prefer you.
The motion carries. It's done, motion carries.
Motion carries. It's in there. It's okay, no, it's not gonna go.
Is that gonna work for the motion on that for the records?
Yes.
Just to make sure. That we don't have to move each item individually.
It says as presented or as written, the resolution as written.
Yeah, that's my take of,
Yes, yeah, it's whatever.
Keep the original so that we can put the words back.
Oh, it's saved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Several words.
Yeah, I mean, how many did you send her? So, 5, let's say.
Just being too cute.
To be too clear.
Alright, so on to 5.9.
Yes, sir. That's just a notice that we have a brownfields group meeting coming up next week. The EPA brownfield site assessment grant is going very well. About 6-8 months ago, we were struggling to find sites. That's turned around, we turned the ship around. We have to reach a 70% committed or expenditure date by September 1st to be eligible to apply for future grants this fall and winter. We're at 66% or 63%, so we're gonna hit the 70. And so, sorry, Bernie, but we gotta write some brownfields grants in the fall. We'll talk. And, that's the link for the meetings. That's all that's really there.
Alright, anything on 5.10?
5.10, just that I'm gonna work with Kayla on setting up all these lunch and learns. Hey, Bernie, if you still get your ears on, under 5.10, I'm gonna work with Kayla, Jason, and or both to set up these meetings for the rest of the fiscal year. And we'll come up with some topics ahead of time, so We'll talk Monday, okay?
Sounds good, Glenn. And if anyone has a topic they want to hear about, please reach out to us and we will try to arrange either one of us to bone up on the topic, or we will reach out and try to find a state or regional guest speaker to speak to that issue. So just shoot us an email if something comes up you want to hear about.
I think Bernie, based on the conversation tonight, at the very least, if there's 10 meetings to come up, tiny homes will be one of them and data centers will be another. And we'll probably do that in September and October, something like that, okay?
Yep.
Thanks, Bernie. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything under 511?
No, sir.
All right, moving forward into 6. Any updates from GIS?
No. No.
Any updates from planning and development?
Just a couple. I'll keep it really short. We are still waiting to hear from EEA on the Eco One Stop grants. They have been starting to issue denial notices for applications on grants. We are expecting them to go public by hopefully the end of the month with those people who were awarded grants. The other one is the regional solid waste action plan that we had applied for. That's through the Community One Stop. We did get notice that that's going to be announced. Well, we don't know if we're going to get it, but they're going to be announcing all the awards for that session in October. So we have to be a little patient on that one. We're pretty hopeful about a couple of these, so we do hope they go through. Otherwise, we are just continuing to work on the projects I've mentioned in the past, the rural renewal project with Hubbardston, Phillipston, Templeton, and Winchendon, and the roadmap to housing choice for Ashby, Groton, Lunenburg, and Shirley. So those are continuing to be ongoing, but we are expecting to take off with some of these larger grants, and I think I'll have a lot more to say at the next commissioners meeting. Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
To add to Bernie's comments, there are some handouts here. There are 2 on my list. One is the Mass Integrated Land Use Strategy, Jeff LeGros, who was here earlier tonight, wrote a quick update. It's a handout you can read earlier. And then he sent us this black and green email. Miles Workshops advance into mapping and alignment phase as cross-cutting frameworks take shape. I can't find all that right now. And to Bernie's credit and the staff's credit, and the conference planning, they do and I know Brian's people contribute to this too, but this is a team effort between multiple departments to put a grants availability, grant opportunity list. Remember, see, it's blue and green is our school colors, and there's some brown at the end. I don't know what that means. Start preparing for. So you see red, you want your radar screen. So those are there in your packet electronically and physically. Just to round up 6.2. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Transit and transportation.
Yeah, on the grant list that I just mentioned, I'll give Barney all the credit. They stay on top of that. Sometimes give them full information, but they're on top of it, so it's useful to us too. We kind of disseminated to our groups. The 2 transportation groups that meet, the Joint Transportation Committee and the Metropolitan Planning Implementation, have opted to go every other month through the end of the calendar year. A lot of our official business is taken care of for the year. So we do have a JTC meeting on the 12th, next Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday, MPO meeting. After that, likely, unless anything pops up, we'll meet again in October. So JTC notices went out yesterday, and the NPO will go next week. So that's my update. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome.
So moving on to 7, which is new business, I have an item here that I want to put back on our agenda, which is a re-review of our AI policy. Because when we had talked about it previously, things were a heck of a lot different than they are now. There actually are regulatory frameworks and compliance frameworks for developing structured AI governance programs. And those frameworks suggest that the organization should have local governance committee for AI usage, and that it should also have a user committee for AI usage. It should have a governance program that's structured around this. So that's something that's worth talking about. And I've recently been playing with newer models of Claude. The stuff it can do is amazing. Like, you could take an entire town's bylaws, put it in and be like, what in this could ever possibly be construed by somebody using the most creative thinking to try to do this thing? And it'll do an analysis on the entire thing, point out the sections that you should read and like all of that stuff in a way that's just unbelievable. So it's truly transformative for some of the stuff that we. And definitely is at a town level.
Between now and let's say this was, we'll put this issue on the agenda for September. You're thinking October, I don't know, which is somewhere, but may I make a suggestion that there's good work that we can do between now and the next meeting? And Jason really should be in the lead with you. I mean, you are the two that I would love to see in the room to talk about updating our policy. Because I can barely spell AI and you folks understand it. That's one point. So I would encourage a meeting between, I'm happy to sit in a meeting and learn. The other point that was really the last thing I want to say is that, I asked Jason a week or so ago, whatever it was. I said, hey, I'm using ChatGPT at home. Can we see what it costs? And get it here to the staff. And I'll defer to Jason for the story. I won't steal his thunder. So he would talk about chat and then he recommended Claude and we just bought it. So you want to fill the blanks on that a little bit for ChatGPT and Claude, please?
So AI is pretty funny how it operates sometimes, and so I tried to sign up for a subscription through ChatGPT. We were gonna test it out, Glenn, myself and Kayla, and I was trying to get, create an account and then attach our sales use certificate to it, so we charged tax. And it took me more than a day of 15 minutes there, half hour there, gotten stuck in 2 loops where you'd reply to an email and it was like, no, this one's enclosed, reply to this other one, reply to that one, this was a duplicate of this other. It was a nightmare. But in my head the whole time, I'm thinking we should probably just move forward with Claude, which, Anthropic. And so we discussed this on Tuesday, I think, bought it on Wednesday. And so I've only been using it now for 2 days. But I've been testing it in my work life, but just for fun, I've been throwing some other things at it. And it's actually amazing how much better it is at answering questions and understanding what you're asking than at least Copilot and ChatGPT, which are the ones that Copilot I use for personal and work. ChatGPT, I just have one personally, but using this Claude AI is
Now,
mind-blowingly better.
without spending a ton of time on it, what kind of Claude subscription?
It's the, what's it called, Team or something, which is like their pro, but a little bit more advanced.
Yeah.
It's
the one before
the
you.
Team Standard or something sounds right.
Yeah, it's the one before you have to start paying for it on a token basis.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, when
Yeah, it's like about $40 a month per user annually upfront.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's $25 a month.
Yeah, we should talk about it, because the thing that's going on in the private sector right now is a recognition that everybody's using these things, but they have to get under the security envelope of the organization. So whatever is being set up for AI tools needs to be on the same SSO and MFA as the organization. Because what's happening is people are running these off the books applications outside of the envelope. And they're accumulating huge amounts of confidential information. They're leaving organizations and then they're still having it associated with a private email address. So there's no way to turn off the access to protect that confidential information. So it's become a pretty big deal.
Sure.
That it needs to be managed by SSO under your domain. So I assume, and that's probably the first question. I assume MRPC is doing SSO for primary applications?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it needs to be pulled inside that same envelope sooner rather than later. And eventually the organization will have to have a fair and toothy policy for folks that use AI tools that are outside of the app. But that, it takes a long time to get there because you start getting people using AI tools, and it's like, okay, but you gotta use the corporate ones because you're putting everyone and yourself at risk if you're just signing up for stuff and putting organizational information. So, yeah, there's a lot we can chat about that. I made the mistake at work last year being like, oh yeah, I know about AI stuff. And now I'm somehow responsible for leading the entire AI initiative for a company of 200 people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that they clearly talk about in school. But yeah, no, I've learned a lot. I do screwing a lot of things up. Yeah, I can save you a lot of time.
SSO.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Single sign-on. Yeah, so MFA would be multi-factor authentication,
Yeah, MFA, I know,
and then
yes.
SSO, single sign-on.
Thank you.
That means that you pull the sign-ons for those tools into your Microsoft environment. So you manage the subscriptions and who has sign-on privileges through Entra or whatever the hell they're calling it these days. And that way, if somebody leaves, you just turn them off in Entra. It cuts off the access for all of this.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it creates nightmare e-discovery problems.
Okay, interesting. Well, this is why I asked you to talk to Jason during, so I think, really. I had to ask for the acronyms, so it's not my bag, so thank you for Jason and Christopher, can you just chat?
Yeah,
Next meeting?
I have a town governance policy that I give you that's based upon the NIST AI framework.
Yes.
2000.
Thank you both. I really appreciate this. I'm used to this. Thank you.
Do you sense that at this, I'll call it early stage, organizations, not private sector, I'm thinking governments or agencies like this, unknowingly, the staff as they dabble in the free version or whatever, are we innocently, stupidly kind of opening our organization up for problems later?
100%.
That's pretty fun. Some of my colleagues use it a lot more
And
than others.
here's what happens, and here's why people should care about it for themselves and not just the organization. So I briefly mentioned e-discovery. So if somebody comes up with a cause, sue the city, they're gonna go looking for information on particular things. And it's already enough of a problem if you're a municipal employee and somebody needs to work yourself if you're not a lawyer. Now, all of a sudden, it turns out you have all of these off the books or out of the envelope installations. So the city IT can't go in and access all of that. So now you're driving your phone, your computer, everything else to the lawyer's office so that they can go through it. And they see all of your personal stuff mixed in with what went on with these chat agents. And in addition to leaking potential confidential information from the city into them, because if you don't have a commercial account where self-improvement for the model is turned on, it saves all of the information and uses it to train the model. So that's why you get the Teams account, or you get the, I don't think it's turned off by default on the Teams account. I think you have to turn it off on the Teams account, where there's a radio switch for just turn off model improvement. And that way it's not taking MRPC data to improve the model. So yeah, it's harvesting data that way.
Yeah.
And now that ChatGPT and OpenAI are starting to do ads within ChatGPT, it's harvesting that information at a whole different level. It's not commercial account. Yeah, no, super, super risky to use it for anything municipal. Like the state offices, like they're not even allowed to use it.
So I'm retiring, but.
No, I'm still in my.
Yeah. So, yeah, we should add that to the agenda. Anybody else have anything else under new business?
That could be a future lunch and learn, although it may take a little while to have enough input to be able to convey it to the
Well said.
communities.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I mean,
So
you
very
wanna make sure what you're telling them is helpful,
So.
but it's like everybody either is now realizing that we're in trouble, because we have no guardrails. Or they're just ignorance is bliss, just using it.
I don't want to volunteer myself for something else. Because
No, I'm not looking at you, I'm just saying.
I am.
I have a 15-minute training off the shelf that I use at work.
Sure.
Specifically on why you should care about AI governance issues to pass it in Silicon Valley. Which easily could be just passed by the city attorney. So, anything else under new business? All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
We'll move.
To adjourn, right?
To adjourn.
Do we have a second on that? Second. All right, do we have any objections? All right, we were adjourned at 8:22 PM. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate how much work this is without necessarily getting paid for it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys for.
Thank you.
Yeah.